Hi, I'm Stephanie Phillips. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today we're making barbecue pulled pork sandwiches with a creamy cabbage and carrot slaw. Now, I'm not a big sports fan, but whenever I get invited to watch the big game, I always make these sandwiches because I know they're gonna be a crowd pleaser. And while we're doing this, I'm also gonna show you my favorite braising techniques because it's a very simple 5-step process that you can replicate to make some of your favorite dishes. Think a duck ragu or a Moroccan chicken or, red wine braised short ribs. What all these dishes have in common is that they start with a braise. And I promise you, you're gonna love it. Buy one. Note to self, cut the ketchup parts. Is it all over my face? No? Okay. Step number 1 is choosing your main character and seasoning it properly. So typically when we talk about a braise, we're dealing with like big chunks of meat. These are collagen-rich, active muscles. So think legs, shoulders, butts, bellies, ribs, tails, cheeks, thighs, wings. Now, braising is not exclusively reserved for meats. You can also use some hearty vegetables. Think anything that grows or is available in the winter months, like squash, collards, potatoes, beets. And don't get me wrong, you can totally braise like softer, more tender vegetables like lettuce and cucumbers, but you just need to adjust the braising time accordingly. Okay, for this recipe, we're using boneless pork shoulder. I've got this beautiful cut right here. It's about 2 pounds. So we wanna season every pound of meat with about 1 teaspoon of salt. I generally like to go a little bit more than that just to be on the safe side, but that's a good like general rule of thumb. So when we season our meat, the salt draws moisture out of the protein, creating a concentrated liquid brine on the surface. And that gets absorbed back into the meat fibers. Okay, the pork shoulder is in the fridge. Now it's time to talk about step 2, picking your vessel. I am in love with my Dutch oven. I have multiple at this point. It's a bit of an addiction, but they're seriously the best for braising. You don't need a fancy brand, but it is a really good tool. And that's because of a thing that I like to call Humvee. It sounds weird, hear me out. Heat retention, uniform heat distribution, moisture, and versatility. If you don't have a Dutch oven, just look for something that has a thick bottom, a tight fitting lid, and you want something big enough so that all of the ingredients can fit in the pot in an even layer. That's gonna ensure even cooking. Now that we've got our vessel, it's time to start making the sauce. We start with some ketchup. So I'm going for about 1 cup of ketchup here. Then we got a 1/2 cup of cooking molasses. Then I'm doing 1/2 cup of rice wine vinegar and about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I've also got 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke. Then we want a little bit of hot sauce. I'm gonna use Sriracha. This is all based on your preference. I like it spicy, so I'm gonna put about 2-3 tablespoons. A little bit of brown mustard or Dijon, and finally about a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Then we're gonna give this a good stir. Our sauce is ready. We're gonna set this off to the side while I show you the 3rd step, which is searing. So we need to go to the stove. Now, in classic French cooking, you're taught to sear your meat before you braise it, and that's for a few reasons. Number 1 being it deepens the overall flavor through the Maillard reaction, which leads to more fond development at the bottom of the pan, which is what's gonna help us create deeper flavor in our sauce later on. The second reason is that it also just improves overall texture of the dish, and it looks more appealing. Like there's nothing sexier than a piece of meat with a crispy, crunchy, browned tip to it. All right, our pork is seared. Now it's time to talk about step 4, aromatics. This is alliums, it's spices, it's herbs, it's the flavors we're using to build our braising liquid. When I'm choosing my aromatics, I like to think about like what region my dish is coming from. Today we're making pulled pork that typically comes from Southern barbecue culture, which has influences from all over the world, but today I drew on Asian flavors. So you saw me add soy sauce and rice vinegar and Sriracha to my barbecue sauce. We're playing similarly with our aromatics. So I've got a roughly chopped onion here, and then we've got a beautiful spice blend of cumin, paprika, cayenne, fennel, coriander. I think that's it. Yeah, fennel and coriander, that's it. Now we're gonna go back to the pot with that beautifully rendered fat, and we're gonna cook these up to build the base of our braising liquid. Once we've got our spices toasted and our alliums cooked down, it's time to deglaze. In barbecue, we use bourbon and whiskey, so that's what I'm using today. All right, so the bourbon has cooked off, the alcohol smell is gone, and we're left with like this beautiful sweet aroma. So this is when we add our meat back in. And then that barbecue sauce that we made earlier is ready to go. We're gonna add about half of that in. At this point, I also like to taste the braising liquid to see if it needs more seasoning. Yeah, it needs a little bit more salt, but I'm gonna season cautiously because it is gonna reduce and concentrate those flavors more, so we don't wanna be overzealous. We can always add more salt later. All right, we finally made it to step number 5, which is simmering. Our braising liquid is in, our meat is in, everything is seasoned. Now we wanna attain this beautiful gradual simmer throughout a long period of time so that the fatty tissues, the muscle tissues in the meat can slowly break down until they're at a point where they're like basically just melting in your mouth and super tender. To achieve that, classically, we put it in the oven at a really low temperature with the lid on, and the oven will do that work for us to maintain a consistent heat. But you can also do it on the stovetop. It might just mean that you're like paying a little bit more attention, you're being a little bit more active, but you also have a little bit more control. You can actively see how fast it's simmering, how slow it's simmering, and like get what you're actually looking for. I prefer the oven method. I'm more of a set it and forget it kind of cook. I wanna get this to a rapid simmer just before boiling. While we wait for it to do that, I'm gonna set the oven temperature. You basically don't wanna go anything above 300. The lower, the better, in my opinion. 275 is really the sweet spot, I think. 275 for about 3.5, 4 hours is a good benchmark or rule of thumb. But if you want it to cook for a longer period of time, you just need to lower that temperature. So you can set it to 200 or 225 and let it simmer in the oven overnight, like 6, 8, even 10 hours. So you can totally play around with it. I like using that 275 for 3 to 4 hours as my benchmark and then adjust accordingly depending on like what your cooking schedule is like, what else you're doing that day. This is officially simmering. We're gonna put the lid on and our oven's almost there, so we're just gonna pop it in and let it go. Now that our pork is in the oven, we can make our slaw. So I've grated up some carrots and cabbage. I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt, quick toss. Then we're gonna go in with some mayo, a splash of rice wine vinegar, and some Sriracha. I thought I had lime, but I don't. I have half lime, so we're gonna use it. I love mixing 2 acids together because it gives you like this complex acidity that leaves you kind of guessing, like, what flavors am I getting here? Like, it's hard to kind of put your finger on it, but it tastes really good. I'm gonna give that a little stir. We want it to be wet, but not soupy. Like, you wanna pick it up and you want all of the dressing to cling to the cabbage and the carrots without it like dripping and sopping off, if that makes sense. And then I think all this needs is a little bit of sweetness, so I'm gonna go for maple syrup. I think the maple will play nice with like the whiskey barbecue flavors. Just a touch there. At this point, it's looking really good. I'm gonna taste it. Perfect. Just before we're ready to serve, I'm gonna add in a bit of cilantro. That's tasting great. We're gonna set this aside while the pork finishes cooking. Now you're probably noticing that this is totally a different pot. I made this one last night because obviously it takes like 3.5, 4 hours in the oven, so that's not gonna work with this setup right here. Same deal. We're gonna take the pork out of the braising pot and transfer it to a medium or large bowl. It should be so tender at this point, like you can barely pick it up because it's literally falling apart. The pork is in the bowl. I've got 2 forks here. We're just gonna shred this apart. While you're doing this, you might also find like large chunks of fat or muscle tissue that didn't break down fully. At this point, we want to take these out and discard them because we don't want someone to get like a bite of that in their sandwich. It's not the best texture, so just discard. The pork is shredded. I've got a strainer here. We're gonna just pour the remaining braising liquid through the fine mesh sieve back into our pork. I'm gonna start with about half and see what it looks like at that point before we add any more. This is a good example of like why I just did a rough chop on the onion. I knew that I was gonna strain it through a sieve, so I knew that it was gonna like catch any big chunks. These are totally delicious and flavorful, so you can like dump it all in and just have that be part of the sandwich, but visually I think it's more appealing without, so that's why I chose to strain. It's your braise, it's your adventure. You choose what you wanna do, but I do like this. So basically now the pork is just gonna absorb all of that liquid once more, and it's gonna make it super juicy and flavorful. Okay, so I'm really happy with this. It's completely absorbed that liquid, but it's not dripping. So you might be wondering why we got this beautiful pulled pork, but we also still have all of this barbecue sauce. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a bit of the barbecue sauce back into this mixture, but only as much as you think you're gonna use. So if you only are gonna make like 4 sandwiches and there's enough for 8 here, just kind of divide it up so you can separate it. You don't want the barbecue sauce to like absorb too much in the meat. You kind of want it to be like fresh on your palate. I've got my pulled pork here with the barbecue sauce. I'm gonna start with like a 1/4 cup. So now I'm gonna take a bit of this and go right on my bun. And there we have it. That's our barbecued pulled pork sandwiches. I'm honestly scared to take a bite. I think I put a little bit too much on, but YOLO. Okay, ready? There's a reason why these are always a crowd pleaser. They're seriously delicious. They're best served fresh. So assemble them as people kind of want to eat them so they don't get too soggy. Happy game day from me and my sandwich to you. Make sure you subscribe to get more videos just like this one. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.